Hi everyone, Anthony here, Anthony Cummins. Today we're going to be talking about ninjas, shinobis, shock horror. So we're going to be supporting this book, Ninja Skills. If you're getting into ninjutsu, start with this one. Start with that. That's probably the easiest way to get in. Right, today I'm going to talk to you about ninja versus shinobi. A very boring linguistic video. And I'm going to try to make it as exciting as possible by being dynamic. But first, before we start, before we start, let me tell you a little story. So I heard recently that Stephen Nojiri was fighting my cause. He was online, spears behind him, having a go at someone because the most stupid thing I've ever heard it was going on in the internet. It's ridiculous. I can't believe people are this dense. So basically, somebody has complained to Anthony Cummins doesn't know his videos are useless because he uses the word ninja, not shinobi. And I was like, what? I told you that. So if you don't know, it was me who told these people that you should only use shinobi no mono or shinobi, not ninja. Ninja is a modern thing. I'm the man who brought that to the world. I showed that. I even fought against the Japanese about this and said, nope, it's only shinobi no mono. And in the end, they were like, actually, you're right, Anthony. So anybody who can turn around and say, Anthony doesn't understand, it was me that told you. So basically, a long time ago, I went around all the places in Japan trying to find ninja, and we came across the word shinobi no mono with the particle for no in it lots and lots of times. And then we came across all the furigana, the bits at the side that said shinobi no mono, and we came across the old seto kanji shinobi. And I was the one who went, guys, I can't find ninja anywhere except the mid 20th century, middle of the early 20th century to mid 20th century. And people were like, oh, okay. So out there, I told everyone you should only use shinobi no mono. But I, like this, have to use this word ninja because it's so popular. The thing is, it's like Taoism. People use 90% of the books you will buy use the word Taoism, not Taoism. The actual word is neither Taoism nor Taoism. It's neither of them. It's Tao, however they say it. Les Con will kill me for that. Basically, as it's neither Taoism or Taoism is the correct word, but because it's so popular, it's extremely popular, that sells and that gets attention. Thus, my long-term plan is to say, and always has been, guys, is to say basically, the word shinobi no mono is correct. The word shinobi no jutsu is correct. I published this years ago, but I've said I'm going to mix them up with ninja and shinobi. So what you often find in my books, it says ninja on the front. Then in the first few pages, it'll say, but actually we should use the word shinobi. Then it changes to shinobi. And my long-term plan is to, bit by bit, over the next 20, 30 years, is get the word ninja phased out, even though it's still popular. And it must be working, because whoever that was on the internet who argued against me is like, see, shinobi is the proper word. Anthony doesn't know. Yeah, Anthony about 10 years ago is the man who sorted that out. So you're actually inside of his plans, you idiot. So whoever that is, go find a bridge and enjoy yourself. Jesus Christ, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. Right, thank you for Stephen Nojiri to pointing out the obvious. Right, so basically shinobi versus ninja. Okay, the main point of this video is to say to you guys why we jump between the words ninja, shinobi, shinobi no mono, shinobi infiltration. How did we get there? What did we do? So my little rant is done. Let's get on that case now. Okay, so basically, we don't find the word ninja, right, that often. Now, what we have... So, actually, let me start at the beginning. That was a bit of a bad start. Let me start at the beginning. Right. Originally, in villages in England, there used to be Bob, John, Ted, Edward, Albert, whoever, yeah? And one of them was the smith, one of them was the thatcher, and one of them was the baker, and other words. But those are easy examples. Smith, thatcher, baker, because they're obvious. So a smith did the smithing. The thatcher did the thatching. The baker did the baking. The candle maker, etc. However, we find that you say, where's Bob? And you say, well, which Bob? There's like 4 Bobs in the village. Well, excuse me, Bob the smith, Bob the thatcher, Bob the baker. And then you would say Bob the baker of Earlham, Bob the baker of Hollingwood, something like that. The village names. And eventually, of course, you can see where I'm going with this, you get Bob Smith, Bob Baker, Bob Thatcher. Their names are taken from what they do. This is exactly the exact same as Shinobi. So originally, the Japanese were there. They had the word Shinobi to mean hide. And in their language, that was it. The word Shinobi was first. Not written down, nothing, just the word Shinobi. It means to hide, endurance, enduring. We have kannin, things like that. These Japanese words. And bit by bit, Chinese culture starts to come across. And as waves and waves of Chinese people are coming across, they become Japanese. And the Japanese people is built up of mainland Asian people, as well as their own indigenous people. And they basically adopt the language, the kanji, the Chinese ideograms. And here they pick out Shinobi. That's the kanji for Shinobi. It doesn't mean ninja yet. It doesn't mean anything. It means just endurance. So you go to some Buddhist text or you go to some writing and somebody went, he endured the fire. The fire was hot. He endured it. Shinobu'd it or whatever, yeah? The Shinobi are not even there yet. They're not there. We know that job didn't exist at some point. Then at the start, people are like, well, I can creep in. I'm pretty good at that. I'm a bit light-footed. In we go. So somebody would creep in and they'd say, somebody shinobi iru. They crept in. Or, you know, they shinobi this, they shinobi that. We start to see it as a verb. Now, a verb is a doing word, basically. Like Viking is, he goes a Viking. Not, he is a Viking. That's where people get mixed up. Obviously, it's well known, that one, the Viking versus Viking. So it's another example of the Shinobi. A Viking is somebody raiding. The word Viking means to go raid, basically. Or they're a group of raiders. But eventually, that's the verb. They're Viking. It eventually becomes a noun, which is a solid thing. This is a book. Yep. That's a noun. This is a Viking, noun, a person of that order that goes raiding. A Viking, noun, goes Viking, raiding, verb. Yeah, okay, over there. Phew, catch up, like that. So basically, what you find is throughout the early days, we get people going a shinobiing, yeah? They're off shinobiing. And then eventually people are like, let's pick the shinobi people that we need. The shinobi people. Like, for example, in a Viking village, in a Scandinavian village, we need to pick some Vikings to go a Viking, okay? So back in Japan, we need to pick a shinobi to go shinobiing, okay? So eventually you start to see this word originally is just a description of what they are doing. Then bit by bit, it starts to change to, okay, now we have a shinobi. And then very slightly, it starts to get catalogued and it's Shinobi no Mono, a person who is specifically chosen to do this job. Then, of course, everything's set in stone and it becomes a job title. And we have in army listings Shinobi no Mono, Shinobi Gumi, Shinobi Kashira, Yato, Captain of the Night. All that sort of stuff starts to come together. So we start to see it's a solid form. So this causes lots of problems. Because basically people say, well, what's a shinobi? If I go to the 1400s, is that a shinobi? Now this is where it gets mega complicated, because most of the time you find verb shinobi. That guy went shinobi and you're like, is he a shinobi? Is it a verb shinobi? Is it a noun shinobi? You're like, even the grammar, a couple of them, the Japanese are like, it could be both, just the way the grammar set up, the way the language set up. So like a Viking, and you're like, does he mean a raider or a person known as a Viking from our perspective as a noun, a full-time person raiding? And you're like, Viking or Viking? I'm not sure. It's that. Obviously, the analogy doesn't tie wholly, but the point is that if I say to you, he was a Viking, do you mean he was a Viking or he was going a Viking? You see the difference? He was a Viking or he was going a Viking as a verb, yeah? He's a shinobi or he's going a shinobiing. Okay, so it gets all mixed up because remember, it's not a very strict on this date they did that. So all the documents that we find go there, they're all mixed up, and some people are using different things. Seto for shinobi, shinobi for shinobi, hiragana for shinobi, katakana for shinobi. It's like, but we do see a curve all the way up, which basically says, as the 1500s got to a close, we have a solid form of the word shinobi. It's there, and it means a person doing a certain thing. By the Edo period, by 1600, we're there. the word Shinobi no Mono exists. And in all those two kanji can be read multiple ways. And basically, the only way we know that we should correctly read them is Shinobi no Mono because of the furigana. Something I discovered, not the Japanese. They didn't. They said it could be said both ways until I pointed it out that the furigana, and then they agreed. Coming strikes again. So whoever that guy was in there, you need to seriously do a bit of background searching first. So right, okie dokie. So this is not the only problem though. So that is complicated enough. Ninja v Shinobi. Which one do we use? We know we use Shinobi no Mono correctly. Ninja is till the 20th century. But do we have the noun Shinobi or the verb Shinobi? Oh God, we don't know. Now this is where it gets mega complicated. It's the Shinobi themselves. For example, Fujibayashi Yasutake says, well, we didn't used to be called Shinobi. We used to be called other things. Basically, whatever your job was, you were called. So those who creep in bushes were called those who crept in bushes. Those who are crooked people, twisting crooked things, were called crooked people. And then you get the playful warrior one. There's lots of different types. Now, I've been working with LesCon. If you're unaware, just look up LesCon's channel. And we'll be doing a video soon about finding those ancient Chinese points. And we're going to try and put a video together. Because before the 1500s, there were many names. Or before the late 1500s, there was many names for Shinobi, okay? Many names. So this is a problem because you're trying to identify what a Shinobi is. Now, we are looking through the lens of the 21st century, which makes it ridiculously hard for us to take that away and go and put ourselves there. Somebody said something the other day, or I caught it just on a program, and basically it was amazing. It said you can get all of the instruments from the 1600s, you can get all of the correct costumes, you can get everything correct, down to candles, you can go in the correct building, and you can listen to 1700s music, but you can never ever hear it like a 1700s person, because they've not listened to rap, they've not listened to blues, they've not listened to jazz, they've not listened to digital music, they don't have the music come out them all the time, they don't have advert music, they are literally have no music beyond what they play in the village. Then they get to this arena and it's like bliss, and you know, like for us, we're like 3 hours of classical music is like, oh, but they might only get that once or twice a year where they get 3 hours of classical music like, oh, and they're like absolutely in rapture looking at it. This is the same for us. Trying to go back through history, unlearn everything we know about the ninja, and start again at the beginning. That is really, really difficult, guys. Really difficult. So what you have to do is remember that originally in China, there was people doing espionage. They had different names. Chinese culture came to Japan, mixed in with the Japanese culture. Whatever the thieves were doing at that time, they adopted Chinese ways as well, and names. And remember that everything, the language came from China. All the ideograms came from China. So what somebody did at the beginning, or a few generations did, was literally pick, that ideogram means that ideogram means that. And then that started to represent the people. So eventually, the Japanese espionage agent in the 1600s is identified through the ideograms Shinobi no Mono, because somebody earlier on had picked that kanji to mean something, and that had become to identify them. They used that to then make themselves, they used that ideogram to be an identifier for themselves to create an image later on. So we have to go back to the beginning, unwrap all of that and start again and be like, I'm not just saying start again with waste everything. What I mean is start again is like, get your head in there, is that actually at the beginning, when in the wars, when they're doing this, they're not like, I'm Shinobi no Mono and this is me. They don't need that. They don't need that. They're like, I'm of this clan. I'm doing this job. I'm off to do this. I'll sneak in for your governor. I'll murder everyone in there. I've got me and the boys will do it. And then bit by bit, Japan unifies. Nobunaga comes in. Everybody comes in unified. Language is standardized throughout the entire place. And then it's like, because remember, language is not standard. Once you get an era of peace, all right, once you get central government and a land of peace, you get standardization of measures, language, tax, all of that starts standardizing. And we see the same thing in the 1600s, standardization. And then you've got somebody who's like, I'm a shinobi, my ancestors did this, but we are using this ideogram to mean who we are. His ancestor may have used a Chinese ideogram of a different style that didn't say shinobi. Maybe he did. It depends on the individual. Maybe the people's ancestors were like those who creep in bushes or those who bend over in hedges. There's lots of words that mean shinobi, but there's also lots of words that sort of mean shinobi that aren't. For example, Metsuke. Metsuke is not a shinobi. That's an overseer. Yokome is a hidden seer. So is that a shinobi? Kanja, are they a shinobi? You know what I'm saying? It's not easy. So when it comes to the ninja v shinobi, we use ninja because it's popular. Everybody today, because we're on this side of the lens, everybody knows it, we say it, but what we do is we use our strategy and you put the word ninja on the front, and then we start to add more of the word shinobi until shinobi becomes so popular that the books in the future will say shinobi more. Shinobi this, shinobi that. And bit by bit, long-term plans come into play, and then we will get there. And the fact that people are complaining about the word ninja shinobi shows that my plans are working. They're there, we're going, which is good. Right, okay, guys, there you go. So basically, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you understand what I'm trying to say is about how complicated it is. You have to, forget the word ninja. And remember, when we say it, we're only saying it because it's a popular word that we have created. The same with Taoism or Taoism. Well, it's been created in the 20th century. So there's that. We have to go back. Is it a verb or a noun? Okay. Are there ones that cross over between verb and noun and you're like, not quite sure? We have to remember that there was a time when shinobi didn't use that ideogram, but they still did the same job. We have to remember that the Chinese did this job before the shinobi, or at least they had the solid form of that before the shinobi, and their influence came in. We know that Indian culture influenced China. We know that they had their own spies and things, and we know that eventually Japan is a mixture of its own native culture, Indian culture, Chinese culture, Korean culture, all coming together in one thingy, which they make Japanese. And as they accumulate to highlight that in the late 1500s, where Japan is truly Japan, they're not playing black to China, they're not going, hark the Chinese. They are literally going, we're Japan, to the point where Toyotomi Hideyoshi is like, bollocks to them lot, let's murder them all. They're not like, oh, great big brother China. They're like, let's destroy them. And they go and send over to invade Korea to invade China. And you're like, okay, that's a turnaround, isn't it? So you see my point? It isn't until that point that we start to see the emblem of the Japanese shinobi being purely Japanese. This system comes from the gods of Japan. We are Japanese. We do Japanese things. We are shinobi. Boom. Mic drop. Boom. All right, guys. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. As I say, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do get yourself a copy of Ninja Skills, because it's obviously going to help me keep doing my work. And I look forward to seeing your comments, guys.